You've got a very aesthetic background going on there. Where are you at home?
I, yeah, I'm at home. I'm actually in my closet.
That's your closet? God damn.
Yeah, I right now I have a small like writing station in here too. So it started as a guest room in the house, and I started moving stuff in, and now it's mine. So
Love that. That's the way to do it. Oh, just gradually take over more and more space as you need.
yeah, just take over more of the space. Yes.
Oh, that's incredible. How are you? We've had some little technical
I'm
issues, but we're on now.
No worries, no worries. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time for me. I know it's crazy everywhere, so
Ah,
always a joy to talk to somebody new.
you know what? You were very high on our list to get a conversation with. So we're stoked to get this before you come out to our shores. It's nice to sort of put a face to the name and have a conversation before you get out here.
The calm before the storm, so they say. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's going to be great. We're gearing up to do a new record, so we've been doing that, and then been in rehearsals for this next run. You know, coming up our first shows in New Zealand as a catch-up show, because last time that we went to New Zealand, my guitar player and I went early just to acclimate and just see some sights and everything, and the rest of our band waited, and that was when all of the flooding happened, and then all of the
Ah,
airports got shut down, and so half my band and half our crew were en route to New Zealand and had to do a U-turn in the sky and go back to Dallas,
oh no.
Texas, and then got stuck there for 3 days. So we're doing a makeup show in New Zealand, and then hitting Australia for everything, for all the KNOTFEST dates, and then doing some headlining dates with, and Skindred's opening up for us with some of it. So we're just we're stoked. You know, busy is good. I'm thriving in the
Yeah,
chaos.
that is a lot going on. How long do you get in New Zealand by yourself then? If you were already there, did that mean you just got to extend out and do a bit of an extra like tourist time?
Absolutely. I did the very like touristy thing and ended up like staying in this like Airbnb with, like, it was this crazy little package. It was the Airbnb, but they would cook you a meal like every night. So, but if you weren't looking for a meal, they would suggest a meal. And then I went on this wine tasting thing right before the rain happened with like three other couples, and it was crazy. So yeah, I had a lot of
Yeah, that
fun.
sounds optimal for you.
And then just so that we could have a little fun, we all, the those of us that were there, went out and got like these very tropical like beachwear outfits, and then took some photos and sent them to our bandmates and the other crew that were stuck in the airport for 3 days,
Yeah.
just so they knew how much fun we were having
Yeah, just
without
just so you guys feel extra bad, this is what
extra
you're
bad.
missing.
Yeah. This is why we've been the same members for over 20 years now. So it's a lot of that type of humor, and I don't know how we haven't killed each other yet, but for some reason it's working. So
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's a great thing to have. And you just touched on the tour coming up in Australia. You are hitting the ground running. It's pretty hard in Australia because there is a lot of the time, like you just do like back-to-back shows. You must be pretty excited to be able to do your own solo stuff as well as doing Knotfest. Like that's a pretty huge tour you guys are coming on, and you're really making the most of Oz while you're here.
oh, absolutely. Well, we love Australia, and the one thing greater than the beautiful scenery and everything that we get to experience there, and all of the great food and beer and all of that everybody always likes. It just, the people are so amazing, and just one of the things I love about you guys is that your culture and your lust for life and your love for music. And every time that we come to Australia, it really does feel like we're in this, a sanctuary with people just like us and all of the weirdos. And it's just I know it sounds so trivial, because that's kind of, I know we've spoken a lot about that in our songs, but it really is like that in Australia. And so we want to make the most of it every single time. And so we made it a point this time to not just do the festival gigs, but do our own headliners, and really give everybody everything that they could possibly want, so that we can go back and do a record and they don't have
Yeah.
to wait for so long for us to go
Yeah,
back.
that
And
is the hard thing.
yeah, and also they're two different beasts. When you do the festival shows, regardless of whether you're, you know, headlining or not, or higher up on the bill, it still is introducing yourself to so many different people and different walks of life. Whereas with the headlining shows, you're kind of past the handshake.
Yeah.
So you don't, so you can kind of deep dive and peel back the onion a little bit, and have conversations. And a lot of these people, there are some of our absolute biggest super fans in Australia, to the point there's one woman in particular, Charmaine, who is one of our number one, probably the first Australian fan we ever had. And she will wait till 1 o'clock in the morning to be the first to buy anything online, first to get tickets, front row every single time, singing every word,
I love
has
that.
multiple tattoos of all of the crazy songs that I've written over the years. And it's just such a wonderful thing. So for us, it's like people like that who really want to, like, not just hear I Miss the Misery, but they want to hear the, you know, the deep tracks, and they want to have everybody break it down. And it's that means a lot to us. So it's the inspiration comes full circle.
I think the fact that like you one know Charmaine's name and that you can like identify that one person, that says a lot about why you've had such longevity in your career, I believe, because it shows that like the fans come first and that they truly mean something to you. And I think that's a really cool thing. And that's how you're going to have those lifelong fans, because they feel seen and recognized and acknowledged by you. That
Yeah.
must get hard though, the bigger you guys get, because you're not a small band. You're not like a starting out. You're a monolithic big name. How hard is that now to get to the point where you're like, oh, I can still recognize the individual bands that make like an impact on us?
I'm pretty sure I can remember faces forever, but the names are getting hard. Um, I used to be really good at that, on a different level, and now it's like I'm more unapologetic about it. Where it's basically like, "Hey, do you remember me?" I'm like, "Yes, I do," but man, for the life of me, I can't think of your name. Is Janet? You know, I'm just
Yeah.
honest at this point, and say, you know, it's better to do that than to bullshit. Be like, "Yeah, of course I know you," because, you know, I meet probably an average on a lower level day, probably an average of about 100 people a day, especially considering meet and greets every day and all of that. So,
Yeah.
um, forgive me, if I've met you 6 times and I still can't remember your name is John, you know, but it's not lost on me that, I mean, I guess if I really had to simplify it, you know, I started this band when I was 13, and it still blows my mind every single time that I walk out on stage and people are there. Because when we first started, I was playing in smoky bars in the state of Pennsylvania, and for 2 people and the sound guy, you know, and nobody was interested whatsoever. They're like, okay, cool, you did your thing. So the fact that we have fans that will, like I said, like Charmaine, wait, you know, up all night to be the first one to get tickets, or to get a print from, my guitar player has a photography printing thing, a first person to get a print, and all of those things. And when you see the same people multiple nights in a row in the front row, regardless, I mean, it's such a magical thing for me as my internal 13-year-old who just wants to get up on stage and rock, for people to care that deeply, and to show that kind of love. And also, you know, in the way I was saying, the inspiration comes full circle, is that these conversations that I have with people, and their letters that they give me, and the way that they are able to, unafraid to open themselves up to me,
Yeah.
those things bleed into my poetry, and they bleed into my songs. And, you know, so everything that I'm doing, we're all kind of doing together. So it's not just about me dressing up and, you know, having a ball on stage, and them watching. It's so much more than that.
Do you feel any pressure, having done this for so long and reached the level of success you're at, to be that like figure of authority for the younger girls in the scene that are coming up and wanting to be in the heavy space? Because there's no doubt that you guys have had a huge influence on a lot of bands. Relica, the band that you're going to be playing with here,
Yeah.
we're friends with Mon, the front woman, and she's like, couldn't be more excited to be playing with you guys. And that's so cool. Like, I think they're a band that deserve all the success in the world. And they're looking at you as like, that's where we want to be. Do you feel any pressure in that way?
I think that I used to. I think that when I was, like in my early 30s, I was, putting myself under a lot of pressure, because I had built this thing And now all of a sudden this thing that is me, I guess it became more of like an avatar that I put up on a pedestal that now I have to live up to. And am I, just as my normal self, able to do that, or even worthy of doing that? And what I realized, when kind of dealing with that, is that it's the complete opposite. You are the sum of all your parts. So it's not like I'm trying to put anybody on and portray myself as this gallant hero. I'm not, and I'm okay with that. I'll give you a real life example. So on the last tour that we went out into Europe, we were on tour for about 7 weeks, and we got into the messy middle, which is around 4 weeks into a tour. Any tour, people start going a little cuckoo.
Yeah.
Everyone's just tired, and I think that there's like a time limit in your brain where when it gets to like a month, you're like, this is done. I'm done. I'm over this. So
And we're finished.
Anyway, so we're in the middle of we're at the 4 week, the messy middle of it, and I start reverting back into this very kind of like depressive thoughts. I didn't like the way I looked and how I felt, and I don't know what I was doing. It kind of felt like I was almost like riding in the back seat of your life, like, okay, I'm not necessarily in control. I'm just kind of hanging on. And after a couple nights of this, our fans who we have a group of European women who have come to see us for over a decade. And they're the same type of people that will come. They buy every meet and greet. They're there every day, front row. They call themselves the Lizzie Birds. And they noticed. So in the meet and greet, they basically all asked me that, hey, is anything wrong? Because we've seen you every night and there's something lost in your eyes. We don't know what it is, and you don't have to explain it, but like, are you okay? And so I did my normal thing and I said, well, yeah, I'm just tired and it's a long tour and whatever. And then the next night, they all individually wrote me letters, and they all brought these 11 women. I have 11 letters from these girls, and they basically, I'm paraphrasing, but all of them in their individual way said, hey, here's a list of reasons why we keep following you and why we keep buying records and why we look up to you. And number two, it's okay if you're not okay. And you don't need to be this shining light. Like, all of the dark parts of you are the reasons that we love you too. So we're here. We're not going to go anywhere. If you have to like take a moment in, and even one of them was like, cancel the tour if you have to. We don't care. We'll always come back. And I was reading these letters and I just lost it. I was just crying for like a half hour. And after I had a small meltdown about it, I was like, oh my God, I just have to be me. That's all I have to be, is me. And so the next night I basically held court with them. I kind of brought them up near the buses and basically just told them, I said, hey, these are all the things that I'm going through right now. And thank you so much for reminding me of what this is actually all about. I'm not here to be your savior. I'm here to be your friend. And the crazy thing that I learned through that, and this is for anyone, and for the lead singer of Reliqa as well, who I'm very much looking forward to watching them perform. And I've watched some things online and I'm so excited about that. But my advice for anybody in that position is that everybody thinks the fans want this perfect thing to look up to. They want this perfect model of what they want to be. And you are that. But what gives them hope is the fact that you're just as screwed up as they are. Yeah. So by you saying, hey, I'm screwed up, but look at what I've done with the tools that I was left, with the trash that somebody left me, I created this. Therefore, that bridge to their dream, no matter what it is, whether it's to be a rock star or just to be comfortable in their own skin, that bridge to that dream gets a little smaller because you've shown that example of just, we're all human. So to answer your question, long story long, I don't necessarily feel that pressure anymore. I feel like it's more about embracing everything that connects all of us, and embracing the things about me, even the things that I don't like, and the times that I've made mistakes, they still brought me to where I'm at, and I don't want to be anywhere else. So, why try to be anything more than that?
That's a pretty beautiful thing. And it makes me question the machoism that can exist in the heavy music space in particular, I don't
Mhm.
think many bands would get to have that experience, particularly with a predominantly male-based following. Is that something that you can appreciate being like, because as a female front person,
Mm.
you're probably more likely to get more female fans because just they can
Of course,
relate and have that thing. Is that
of
something that
course.
you've realized being like, oh, I also probably get more like empathy and understanding and more of a like a wider spread audience because of that? Because like hearing that story, that's fucking sick. That's so cool that you can have that. Because like I know like friends of mine that front bands that might be going through a hard time and they're probably not going to get that same level of understanding or compassion because guys suck sometimes. So that's a really cool thing
Well,
that you can get that.
I don't think that guys in that guys suck necessarily. You know, it's not
As
necessarily
a
that. We're
guy,
just,
I can say that, and it's right.
well, yes, you could say, but and as an ally to your gender, and growing up, you know, with a bunch of boys, you know, since I was 13, it's, I think that a lot of harder, heavy rock bands, I think that they try too hard to be rock. You know, I think that what all of us, regardless of what's between your legs, have to understand about this genre is that it chose us, not the other way around. Therefore, because I am doing this, I do rock. So do you. The rock is going to happen. You don't have to try so hard to be hard, you
Yeah.
know? Um, and I think that, and I'm guilty of it too, because I'm like, okay, I'm a chick in a rock band. That's tough. That's leather. That's chains. That's all that. And the guys are in the same way. But you know, we love this music because it spoke to us and we love it. So even if I sit down at the piano, I'm still rock and roll, you know.
Yeah, hell
And
yeah.
so and so all I have to do is speak my truth, and same thing with anybody else. But the female thing is fun too, because, and I always kind of use the hot dog analogy, right? So you got a guy and a girl ordering a hot dog. The girl is going to be like, well, I want relish but not onions, and definitely mustard, but maybe ketchup is going to be too sweet. What's in that hot dog? Do I want the bun? And the guy is just like, hot dogs are great, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's no wrong answer. It's just that we all just like hot dogs in our own way.
That's a good way of looking at it. It just depends on
But
how finesse you are about your hot dog.
yeah, and what do you want out of it? What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
And for me, I'm in this beautiful position where you know, anything goes, and I'm so lucky to have people that care about what we do and be able to have that kind of back and forth with people. And again, with our Australian fans, that's something that we see not just every blue moon because everybody's been having a hard time in the world. This is every time we come to Australia. I feel that energy from people. So looking forward to see. You can already tell I'm very excited about it because I'm like, here we go.
And it's getting
Can we
close
go
too.
tomorrow?
Yeah.
I
Well,
know.
you know, it's going to be around here in no time, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
You mentioned before about the fact that you get to do like the headline solo stuff as well as a festival thing. Go into your head, which do you choose? You can only do one for the rest of your life.
Oh
Festival
no.
shows or solo shows? What do you pick and why?
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's a terrible question
I
because
know
I
I'm a
love both
terrible person.
different
I'm so
reasons.
sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. You can be a terrible person. I think at this point, in this moment, I think that I would choose the headliners only because we did this tour, this evening with tour a couple of years ago, and just played for 3 hours and got like everything in. And so I think that would be, if I, gun to my head, I think I would end up doing that. Just kind of like play, the people will come. Maybe it'll turn into a festival. But God, I love the festivals because the entire audience is just one giant monster, and it's impossible for four people just plugging in and playing to compete with that. So
Yeah.
just a different mindset. But yeah, gun to my head, probably the headliners. I don't know. But then we're doing Knotfest, and right after Knotfest, and be like, let's do that again. So
Knotfest, I think, is such a unique experience though, because it is very, very, here's the spectrum music, but here's what Knotfest is focusing on. And you're going
mm-hmm.
to play to 30,000 people there that want to see that.
Mm.
And that's such a
Yes.
cool thing because one, 2 stages, so everyone's watching everything. Like I think it's one of the best festivals going around for that reason. All the bands from the first band of the day to the headliner get all the attention, and they get to have a fully captive audience and reach people that maybe they wouldn't
Yes.
have necessarily. I think that's such a cool thing.
It's such a beautiful thing, and kudos to whoever had that brainchild, because I think that one of the things that's frustrating for both bands and fans at certain festivals is that everything is so spread so far apart that if you want to see multiple bands, you're only going to catch half of this set or half of that set in order to be where you're at. So I'm very much looking for that. And I can say, I cannot tell you specifics, but with KNOTFEST, our set will not be the only set that I'm performing in. So I've some of our friends from some of our friends that are also in the bill have reached out to me, and so I may be popping into some other people's sets as well. So that'll be exciting.
I reckon I can take a guess
I got
at
my
that
homework.
one.
I got my homework cut out for me.
I'm sure you'll do great. I can have a pretty solid guess at what that's going to be, but I won't. We'll wait and let the people see.
Everybody will probably guess that.
That's
at least
so
one of them.
exciting. Yeah, for sure. And what about, do you have any downtime whilst you're here in Oz? Because that's the hard thing with Australia, because all of our venues and states are so far apart. It's not like, we'll just pop over there. It's a 3-hour drive. It's a 5-hour flight, or it's a 12-hour drive. How do you go about getting in downtime while you're here?
Well, the first problem has been, what do I pack and how do I get in and out of planes easily? That's always it's not my first rodeo, but every single time it feels like my first rodeo every time we do this. How am I going to pack my bags? We like to get ourselves lost a little bit whenever we can, even if it's a show day, if it's a couple hours in between sound check and meet and greet or something. We'll end up walking around and probably end up hanging out with some locals before everything does something. But we're gonna make a little bit of time. I'm going down a little bit early again, just in case flooding happens again. Smart. Or some fluke tornado or whatever. Maybe it'll snow in Australia. I'm telling you, you think it's a joke because our name is Halestorm, but it happens a lot. It happens a lot, whereas everything is totally fine. It's a beautiful summer season or fall season, whatever's happening over there. And then we come and the sky opens up. So fingers crossed that will not happen. I'm just going to try to put that out in the universe. But
we know who to blame if it does.
But if it does happen to do anything crazy, yes, that would be me. Sorry.
Fucking Lizzie every time.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll end up trying to get in everything, because that's, to me, it's not just about doing the gigs over there. It's just seeing everything and going out to eat and meeting different people. So we'll get out there. You'll see us around.
We look forward to that. Well, if you need any advice while you're in the Sydney area of things, don't hesitate to reach out. We'd be happy to suggest or host and tour you around. We've gotten pretty good at that. It's always fun getting to do that, to tour around with people that you build a relationship through music, but then to do stuff outside of it. I always like that experience. Yeah. Do you ever have that on the street when you run into fans and people have that experience with you and then don't really know what to do because you're outside of the world they know you in?
Sometimes, yeah. I always tell people, and I'll just say this on the record here as well, always come up and say hi. The last time we were in Australia, I did that, and there were pictures that showed up of just somebody was taking pictures of me eating a burger, which was totally fine. There are way worse pictures of me out there, but I'm like, oh, you could have just totally said hello. And I usually have some pics on me and stuff. I'll give you some party favors, but yeah, sometimes it gets a little awkward because it's like, well, we're just going to lunch. Do you want to come with?
Yeah.
No?
Yes.
Okay.
You get
What do
stuck
we
in
do now?
100%.
Yeah, but sometimes it's really great because you meet some random people, and then you end up having a few beers or something and then talking about stuff, and then oh, by the way, there's this museum down here. I'm like, oh, let's go and do that. And
cool.
Just depending on everyone's comfort level, go for it. We're all in this together.
Yeah, you do seem like someone that's very welcoming and open, which I can imagine someone of your stature and popularity, that would get harder and harder. So it's pretty cool that you've maintained that level-headed and openness with people.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's better. I'd rather live my life that way. I mean, there's a darker side to that where I've gotten death threats and weird people showing up at the house, even though we bought our house in a trust name, so somebody found something, and like things like that. But that's the grand minority, and
Yeah.
I like to believe that people are inherently good, mostly, especially if you're like rock music. I feel like there's no real reason to be to be weird,
Yeah. Yeah.
but at the same
Agreed.
time that does exist. But yeah, I'd rather err on the side of like, let's hang out. If you get weird, we won't hang out.
Yeah. That's on you,
just
and you've
don't
lost the
just don't be
privilege.
creepy, it's fine.
I try to live my life that way. Just don't be creepy and everything will be fine. So
They're easy.
okay, so I've got two questions to finish up with.
Awesome.
First one, you're playing with a pretty stacked lineup here, but if you had to pick one artist that was like bucket list that you would like to play with and tour with, what would it be?
Oh my God, there's so many. Muse is one of them. We've never toured with them.
Oh
We
yeah.
played with we've played with them before on multiple gigs, but we've never done a full tour. And they're just incredible. And one of those bands that I think that I love going out with bands that I can learn something from.
Sure.
That's become something I get off on. As far as the standbys, we've never been out with the Foo Fighters yet. That's definitely on the bucket list. Um, let's see. I would say Metallica, but I've heard that's kind of a weird tour, so I don't know. I don't know if we've opened we've played with Megadeth before, but not Metallica, and that was also an experience. Let's see who else. Now, if I could bring somebody back from the dead, um, I'd
I'll allow it.
love I'd love to do a run with either Jeff Buckley and or Black Sabbath with Dio. That would have been
Oh,
cool.
whoa, that's a pretty wide,
That's
varied
that's
mix
yeah,
there.
that's throwing it back there. And to throw a weird one in, it is a lifelong dream of mine to get to tour with Pink and bring her to the dark side. So putting that out in the
I
universe.
can imagine her having a pretty solid rock show like in her. She would do something pretty
Yeah,
rad with that.
I don't think that'd be a far stretch. We'll open up for your girl. I'll let your fans know what's up.
And then and maybe she can get you doing that like the ribbon thing she does where she's
Yeah,
that looks awesome.
I think they just have to tie me up like a mummy and just like
Just swing you.
maybe put a little mic here and just push me back and forth. That'd be great.
It'd be entertaining, but in a very different way.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to say,
It's a
off the
comedy
back,
show.
yeah, that's exactly. It's all in one. You're getting like comedy, rock, a bit of everything. Off the back of the Metallic thing before, I was talking with Sam Carter, who plays in Architects last week, and
Oh yeah,
he was saying how wonderful it actually has been playing with Metallic. He had nothing but
oh that's
positive things to
awesome.
say. They did the last tour, and they're also going back out with them later this year. And he was saying
Oh,
like, they're actually wonderful dudes, and also the shows are awesome to be part of. So I'm gonna put
that's
my fingers crossed for that because I think that'd be a great one for you
we're
guys.
we're getting closer. We were direct for them at Download, and we got to play on their stage, and like and then they brought us in the Snake Pit, and then our roadie crew let me know afterward that that James Hetfield and Lars were side stage for our set, which I'm so glad nobody told me that while we were doing the set.
The nerves.
But they told me that, so they know who we are. I'm gonna put that out there. They seem like great dudes, so I'd love to just shoot the shit even for a couple shows. So yeah, I'll keep that one out there.
Good, I like that. It must be hard though because you are at a stage where finding the right level of like for you to support a band, it has to be a really big band, or you have to play a co-headline tour because you're at that level where there's few that are much bigger, and to get some underneath, like that must get it harder and harder as you guys progress.
Yeah, it is, but it's funny how like we start reaching out. There was one tour that the last band that we took out that truly like absolutely inspired me. What are the Warning? They're three sisters out of Mexico,
Yeah.
and they're all under 21, and they were just vicious, attacking the audience. It's a three-piece guitar, bass, and drums. They plug in, they play, they all sing, and slowly but surely, after the first night, everybody just started watching their set. It didn't matter
Cool.
if anybody had to warm up. Do you know we are making the time? So it's almost like now the responsibility is like, let's bolster the kids that are actually doing something great, and
Yeah, I love that.
So yeah.
That's really cool. Okay, last question. And this is the hardest question I'm going to ask you. So brace yourself.
Oh no.
You're about to go on stage. You're comfortable. You're ready to rock. It's a solo set, sold out. Before you go on, you have to put on cold, wet socks or cold, wet underwear. What do you choose and why?
Oh no.
I know.
I'm gonna have to go with the cold wet socks, because I feel like I could handle that better. Cold wet underwear really nice and warm, so that'll be fine. I have never been asked that question about that. Like when I'm getting changed for stage every night, I'm gonna be like, well, at least my socks are dry.
I'm 100%. I'm team wet socks. Absolutely team wet socks. I think there's nothing worse than like wet, cold underwear to start off. It's just starting with the wrong energy. I don't care if you get sweaty throughout.
Yes, of course. That's what you can always take them off. But because even when you know how you put your clothes in the dryer and they're almost dry, but they're not quite dry, and there's always like
horrible.
that cold wet. It's like, even if it's clean, it doesn't matter. It's still cold and wet. Don't like it. Nope.
Yeah, that's the energy I like.
Off limits.
Well,
we finally found my boundary. That is my boundary. I will not go further. No wet, cold underwear. Nothing.
Glad to know. Well, I'm happy to have helped you come to that realization.
Thank you. You're welcome. You just saved me some cash for therapy, actually, because I feel like that might have come up, but there's some fear.
It's all part of the service here on the breakdown.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you for taking the time to hang out. We're so excited to have you out here in a matter of weeks.
Yes, thank you so much.
So I can't wait to watch you multiple times while you're here, which would be cool.
Awesome. Well, let's definitely hook up while we're there. I'd love to, hang out, at least give you a hug or something.
Sounds good. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, we'll roll out it's a little moldy already carpet, but it still works. Roll out the red carpet for
Thank you. Amazing.
No problem. Well, thank you for.
Thank you.